Ladies and gentlemen, you have already been informed of the speakers. You got a short introduction to them. So, as my good friend Shashi Tharoor used to say when he used to have meetings, he used to quote Henry VIII and say what Henry VIII said to his wives, "I shall not keep you long." So I shall straight away, therefore, ask the first of I shall go in this order. I shall ask the coordinators of the working groups to speak first, and then the guest speakers. So straight away, I shall ask Dr. Krishnashree Achuthan to.
Om Amriteshwari Namaha. My pranams to the Honorable Chair, to very distinguished guests in the dais, in the audience. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity to share a few thoughts on the working group that I represent, which is the Technology, Security, and Transparency. So let me just start with a small anecdote. All of us have heard in these past 3 panels very important issues, and they all are extremely tangible, very perceivable in our near environment. But I'd also like to highlight the fact that all of us also have a very deep impression in another world, which is called as a digital world. A world where nobody lives, yet all impressions from there create an impact almost every aspect of our lives. And what is the real bridge between these two? It's technology. With that, I'd like to start with the C20 legacy. Having gone through various years of policy briefs, we found out that the previous years have done an excellent job of looking at digital economy and anti-corruption, and these are extremely important. However, there has been no working group purely focused on technology, security, and transparency. So it fell upon us to really take this topic in a broad sense to really narrow down various different critical, crucial items. Our inspiration and the sole architect of our approach to looking at the various policies touching technology, security, and transparency has been Amma. As we all heard her speak yesterday, she touched on various different aspects of the multidisciplinary implications of technology yesterday, and I counted at least 15 times in her 30-minute talk. So that in itself shows the significance this topic plays in the entire world. The 4 sub-themes of our group are technology for empowerment, artificial intelligence and data for society, transparency, trust and disinformation, safety, security, and resilience. Let's just start with the first topic. I am not going in any particular sequential order. My hope is to really present the various different topics that we are really dealing with as part of this working group. So everyone knows that artificial intelligence is used in many aspects of technology. And the exponential growth in itself shows the amount of investment that all companies around the world are making towards artificial intelligence. It has an excellent, important impact. However, it also comes with several important dangers that I'd like to highlight today. So we are entering an age of great promise, but yet there's a lot that is still unknown. Just let me give a couple of examples. So medical data sets, for example, have excellent impact on the types of medicines we take for various diseases. Some of them extremely difficult diseases such as cancer, and others that are not so very well known, such as antimicrobial resistance. The set of compound libraries that are available as medical data sets have excellent amount of bias in them because the pharmaceutical companies only go after profit to be able to do research. So many of the rarer diseases do not have sufficient amount of research behind them in suggesting the potential medications. The next example is ChatGPT. There's probably nobody in this audience that has not heard about it. It uses large language models to be able to automate information, to give you information, to teach, etc. But it also has a potential of sharing perhaps unverified information. I'd like to quote Amma again here, stating that extensive research on the negative impact of any new invention or discovery is essential before it's deployed to the population at large. So this remains fundamental to our policy discussions. I'd like to do a small exercise with all of you. These are two pictures of two people. One of them is real, and other is not real. I'd like everybody to raise their hand in terms of who feels the woman's picture is actually that of a real person. Okay? Who feels the man is a real person here? Fantastic. Now, the result of this exercise is that both of these people do not exist. So, what went wrong here? You believed me, didn't you? You believed me when I said one of them is real, another is not. So that is the fundamental mistake sometimes we make in terms of assumptions and decisions. So they are people we encounter in today's lives. For example, we get inundated by emails, by messages, by people that do not exist today. So artificial intelligence has gone to the point of interacting with every one of us, making us believe that there are things that exist that absolutely do not. So in terms of policy, we definitely need to be able to establish and encourage innovation and growth. Nobody denies that. However, we need to do thorough studies and potential negative impacts of them. And we need to also have the right checks and balances. Let us go to another topic on disinformation. Misinformation has been identified as one of the major contributors of various contentious contemporary events, such as elections, referenda, and even the response to COVID-19. Not only can belief in misinformation lead to poor judgments and decision-making, but it also exerts influence on people's reasoning after it has been corrected even. So this is a continued influence effect disinformation has. What could be? So this is an interesting chart here. All that I'd like to mention here is to look at two different numbers. 0.7% of users, in fact, create 24% of the noise online. This is not a big, important information. What I'm going to tell you now is actually far more important. The 0.7% are the people that do not exist. So if 0.7% of the people in this chart, can create 24% of the noise, what would happen if that number is increased to 50%? So, are machines the only issue here? Not really. It is we humans that are potentially a bigger problem. Intuitive thinking, lack of analytical thinking, the cognitive failures that we individually have, the illusory truth that we believe in. If somebody tells us 10 times a particular fact is true, we do have a tendency to believe it. So all of these factors internally within us also contribute to the spread of disinformation. So the important aspect is that even though several countries do have regulations about it, unless the particular incident meets up the 3-point test of fairness, reasonability, and justness, none of this will hold up for scrutiny. You cannot take anybody to court because they disinformed you of something and it affected your life. That is the state of reality today. Let me go to yet another topic, importance of cybersecurity. I'd like to really highlight this. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. A cyber attack with COVID-like characteristics would spread faster and further than any biological virus. And this is a quote from the World Economic Forum. What would a cyber pandemic look like? You have money, you have an ATM card, you cannot use it. You have a beautiful home, you have a smart home, but you cannot get into it. You have an email, but you cannot enter into it. You have a lot of personal data, important information that is stored in a cloud. It is completely inaccessible. You are in an emergency, you have no access. What does it feel like? So an interruption such as this would really cause a loss of essential services, complete chaos, isn't it? And this is what we are looking at. What are the specific complexities here? All of these are anonymous crimes. You cannot go behind somebody that robbed you in the bank. You happen to share an OTP code, money was lost, what would you do? You could go to the police station, it would take on eons to get and find anybody that took your money. Non-uniform cross-border regulation, the regulatory framework is completely fluid. What is a rule here in India may not be so in Pakistan, in Singapore, in Switzerland, for example. Large-scale impact, a disinformation, a misinformation about me can travel much, much faster than I can even think. Vulnerability of systems, and much, much more. The fact that there's a lack of awareness and training. Naive people are the most impacted in such a situation. Yes, sir. So I think I will go further, and I'll just mention that these are just general, nominal topics. Digital economy, internet is an extremely important infrastructure. However, only a select few control it. Multilingual internet, there are about 7,000 languages and dialects in the world, but only 10 have prominence. So what does it do? The indigenous minority, the low resource languages are excluded in the process. Assistive technologies, Nidhi ji beautifully explained what is the problem here and what we need in terms of policy, affordability, inclusivity, accessibility, and funding. Of course, there's also a lot of people that do not have such access, and they do not have access to communities of practice, innovation, or licensing because they come from extremely poor settings. And so we do need all of these topics to be discussed. I did not believe this until I actually went and researched this topic, that we have embedded ourselves so much in technology that the World Health Organization has categorized the gaming disorder as a type of substance use or addictive disorder. And again, I'd like to quote Amma, saying that we are seeing a new generation growing up devoid of conscience and moral values. What is the result? Violence. So I'm just going to mention that we had an approach that allowed us to look at policy generation through questionnaires, outreach, etc. And we also did a significant amount of awareness and community building. We had over 20 plus virtual events on interdisciplinary topics. We had a lot of physical events in Visakhapatnam, Coimbatore, Chennai, and planning one in Delhi this week. Beyond just discussions across the tables, we also did a lot into looking at what are the causes and how can the community participate into civil society solutions. And we have reached out a significant part of India, and this is the map of the countries we reached out to. These are where we've got a lot of input, and I'd like to thank my team, and these are my conclusions. Technology is a good servant, but a dangerous master. We should use machines and love people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.